your dreams.
I know I'm a little late to the party, but since Natlan is coming to its conclusion, I figured I'd just make the video now since Natlan is ending. A lot of people have complained about the designs of Natlan and how they're very modernized, and I can agree that the characters of Natlan do look a little out of place, but I personally don't really mind it since it looks very cool and silly just riding a motorbike around in a fantasy land. I think it is very valid criticism that these characters do look out of place. The whole setting of Natlan itself just looks very out of place to a degree. At least with ruined guards and ruined mechs and stuff, they at least kind of still have like that fantasy aesthetics around with the steampunk look and stuff. Mavuika looks like a modern character in a modern cityscape. Marissa looks like a schoolgirl. We got Xiaolin with her rollerblades rolling around Natlan. Oberon also kind of looks like a city boy, even though he is a farmer. One reason why I don't really mind the change that much is because, well, it kind of just blew my expectations out of the water to a degree. I think a lot of people were expecting Natlan to be a very tribal, third world country looking place, but instead we kind of have like a more of a weird clash between modern and tribalism. Seeing graffiti art in like these natural areas does seem a little off, but instead of just getting this weird tribal dark gloomy area, we kind of have like this bright weird modern type setting that is mixed up with the fantasy vibe. I think they could have at least done a better job between mixing the two, modern and fantasy. Maybe have Mavuika ride like a fucking the bike lizard from Pokemon Scarlet. Natlan looked like it was gonna have the theme of the bond between the humans and the Saurians, but I felt like they kind of just missed that part. Mualani and Kanich did a good job setting off that vibe, but the rest of the characters don't really give off that vibe. The rest of Natlan doesn't really give off that vibe. Both of those characters are the only ones that really have a kit that utilize a Saurian. Nobody else does that, which is kind of odd. I guess Natlan had some last minute changes and some of the developers were a big fan of ZZZ, so they wanted to incorporate some ZZZ elements into Natlan, since a lot of the Natlan characters kind of do feel like they fit in with the ZZZ theme, especially Marissa, Oberon, Mavuika. Presentation of the region with the graffiti and such kind of gives off ZZZ vibes. In my opinion, I think they should have just stuck with the bonds between the humans and the Saurians, give the rest of the characters their own Saurian, maybe have Marissa ride one of those bulls. See, Lali and Orion could have like their own like owl that does stuff. Natlan itself just seems like a very controversial region, not just because of the modern designs, but even with the writing as well. I think the writing for Natlan was okay. It was pretty straightforward. We at least get to know a little bit more about the Abyss, and the Abyss was a lot more involved compared to the other chapters that we've gotten in Genshin. I think Mavuika was written okay. I think people complained about her not really having any character development. I think the writing is fine because she's the leader of her own people and her character development basically already happened in the past. We've seen examples of her great leadership skills throughout the story. She's like the second Archon in the story that at least feels like an Archon to some degree. Raiden A being the first since she was like starting shit in Inazuma. Granted, her puppet did most of the work, but Raiden A realized that was a mistake and decided to finally lead Inazuma into her own hands. Venti and Zhongli are retired. They don't really do like Archon duties anymore. They kind of do stuff on the side to some degree throughout the shadows and shit, but they don't really lead their own people. Nahida was grounded, but once she got ungrounded, she kind of leads her own people now. So I guess technically we have like 30 Archons that have been very Archon-like, leading their people and stuff. Furina was more like a celebrity than an Archon. I think Neuvillette was basically doing most of the work anyways. Her lifestyle did change after her retirement, but I mean, even then, you know, she's still seen as a celebrity to like this day. Mavuika has some pretty good leader qualities, leads her people to war, strategizes on how to beat the Abyss. Even though Natlan's story did felt a little cheesy, I think it was just okay. They could have done a better job mixing between modern and fantasy, but that's just how things go when a series lasts for too long. It is going to feel a lot different. And that's what Natlan basically was. It was very different compared to the other regions, but other series suffers through the same thing. Dragon Ball being a pretty good example, right? When Dragon Ball first started, it was a very simple martial arts supernatural anime, and then when DBZ came around, it had like this sci-fi space travel alien planet destroying shit. Dragon Ball Super basically scaled that to even higher. We got motherfuckers destroying universes now. Dragon Ball Super is just very fucking different compared to the original Dragon Ball. Naruto is also another example. When the series first started, it emphasized on stealth and hand signs for the jutsus. Naruto Shippuden came along, and then it basically just became another Dragon Ball Z. They got rid of the hand signs. Stealth no longer really matters. You don't really see fights like Kakashi versus Kabuto. Boruto is just a shit show. I don't even know what the fuck that is anymore. It's basically just another fucking series. Last example I'm gonna use is the Fate series. When Fate Stay Night came out, it was basically like this urban fantasy type thing with the mysterious vibe of the servants having to hide their identities. The Fate series now is like this weird multi-dimensional sci-fi bullshit timeline thing going on. Servants don't even hide their identity anymore. They kind of just give out their name. Anyways, when a series goes on for too long, it typically takes a drastic change. Either it's because the writer gets tired of writing the same shit over and over and over again, or maybe the writer is scared of the audience seeing the same shit over and over and over again. Who really knows why this phenomenon really goes on? But I do agree that Natlan is a pretty drastic change from the current Genshin that we've had. But at the end of the day, it's the writer's choice for doing this, right? It's their shit. They can do whatever they want with it. I don't really mind the change because it was a surprise for me. And I think a lot of people did expect Natlan to be like this dark, gloomy war area, which I can kind of understand. But I also know why they went with the more brighter route, because, you know, brighter things tend to attract more family-friendly orientated people. On the bright side, at least the Natlan females look hot, so I guess that's fine. Let me know what you guys think about Natlan in the comments below, and I will see you guys later.
Bye-bye now. Come again soon.